Hello, Daryl.
Good morning. Yes, I was on
Oh,
mute.
oh, great.
Daryl, welcome. How are you doing?
Great. How are you guys? Nice to see you again right here.
Very well, thank you, and congratulations on winning the award.
Well, thank you very much.
So
Thank you.
I'm actually going to kick off with my first question. Uh, so you say that you guys are introducing the first income-producing stablecoin. Uh,
Yeah.
but our understanding is that there are other income tokens on the market. So how is UB different from other security tokens or
Yes.
STOs?
Yes. Very good. Well, the risk profile, the risk reward profile of Yubi is quite different than other standard STOs. Um, First, with security tokens, they may even deplete all their capital before they begin to recoup capital, more or less earn a profit. And there's no specified timeline or when the ROI will be returned to investors, more or less the profit side of it. So typically, STOs are considered a higher risk, and investors are looking for, say, between 10 to 20% return, if not even more. But UBI operates more like a money market product where we preserve capital and generate yield typically in the single digits because of the low risk of our profile. So the big difference between an income producing stablecoin and a standard STO is how you deplete it, the timeline for return. In each of our offerings, we have a specified timeline for that return to the investor. So they can liquidate their UB at any time with a 30-day minimum. In our case, it's 30 days minimum. So it's highly liquid, high single-digit returns with preserving capital. And that's quite different than for the STO model, which totally depletes the capital, no certain timeline for return, but it is a higher risk profile investment.
And just one more question from my side. So most stablecoins use trust accounts to maintain high liquidity and to ensure that they maintain their pegs. So how can you be guarantee high liquidity if you're putting the money at risk to earn a yield?
Sure, sure. Well, again, UB operates more like a money market product, highly liquid money market product, where we preserve capital without really putting the money at risk. So to give you an example, we generate yield by transacting cross-border payments from the funds from our stablecoin purchases. So we borrow funds from our purchasers, we turn those funds into multi-currency accounts around the world to settle cross-border payments. So if, say, for example, someone come to our site and want to do a remittance from US to Mexico for $1,000. They give us USD as a deposit, and we'll pay that $1,000 out in Mexico from the stablecoin purchase. So we deplete the stablecoin purchase, but only once we receive the capital from the originating remittance less our fee. So in actuality, on every money transfer, we're actually making profit without even risking the original stablecoin purchase. So we put the money to work, but we never really risk or deplete that capital because it's always being replenished by the originating transaction. So we are preserving the capital while generating yield.
Okay, that's it for me. Does anyone else have any questions? Please feel free to ask Yubi any questions. If not, I actually do have another regulatory question for you guys.
Okay.
So, we think that regulatory issues must be addressed first.
Sure.
And, do you think the related regulation environment is improving in comparison to the past? Or are there any regulatory issues that your company needs to or
Yeah,
will address? Yeah, what do you think?
absolutely. Well, that's a great question. So at UB, we pride ourselves. We think our one of our best competitive advantages is understanding of the regulatory landscape, or at least our approach to how we deal with regulations. Now, we are based in Singapore and the United States. The US tends to have the most sort of stringent, robust framework around how to look at tokens, as whether it's securities or banking, et cetera. So we try to meet the US bar, because if we can meet the US bar, typically we'll work around the world. In the US, they haven't really generated cryptocurrency or digital currency guidelines at the federal level. They sort of relied on each state to come up with their own sort of guidelines. But they rely on the existing securities laws and banking laws. So anytime a new innovation comes into the market, the US don't necessarily put out new regulation. They simply say follow the existing regulations. Where other countries have taken a different approach, they actually have put out regulations specifically to digital currencies. In our model, even though we are in the securities token category with this award, we've actually implemented our income producing stablecoin in a model that that's actually not defined as a security. That's one of the key innovations in the Yubi income producing stablecoin. We actually could list this on a regular exchange or on an STO, or we could sell it. That's part of the innovation and some of the secret sauce of how we've implemented Yubi. But actually, we've implemented this in a way that's very US friendly, and it would not be defined the way it's implemented right now as a security token. So that's a very insightful innovation. Now, when it comes to banking, we follow all the KYC and AML requirements around banking and people doing transfer. So we see a convergence between banking and fintech. Fintech seems to be the wave of the future. And even in the US, in the last 6 months, they've put together national banking charters for fintech companies to come into the fold of the banking regime. Actually, I had some breaking news. Thanks to the TADS awards in the last week, because of the award, we've gotten on the radar of the US Treasury Department. And actually, tomorrow morning, we have a call with the US Treasury. They're interested in Yubi and learning how they can support us in rolling out Yubi nationally, and possibly supporting us through a national banking charter. So that's a perfect example there. And it's only because, well, we're going to have a discussion for them to learn about Yubi tomorrow, but we're going to fit in very well potentially with that opportunity, because the way we implement Yubi, we already follow the FinCEN and banking compliance protocols for a token or digital currency. So I believe, yes, digital currency should embrace regulations and not see themselves as competing. There's a big difference between sort of disrupting or attempting to disrupt a central bank versus the retail or correspondent banks. Central banks set the rules and the regulations. You can't disrupt the central bank, but you can disrupt the retail and correspondent banks. And that's, I think, a big distinction that other digital currencies should consider. So we've embraced, all central banking regulations around the world, although we maybe consider ourselves competing with the corresponding and the retail banks. There's a big distinction between the two.
Okay. Thank you, Daryl. Any questions from the floor? All right. Well, Daryl, thank you for your time. So again, congrats, and let's keep in touch.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, my friend.